everyone, Cheek here with another Transformers review, and today I'll be reviewing the Transformers 1 Bumblebee. And this is one of the new boxes where it has the plastic window. I am so glad for that because I got tired of finding figures in the store, especially one that I wanted, but then, oh look, no head, or oh look, there's a piece that popped off and is nowhere to be seen. So, I am glad to finally get something from this new release, and also am excited for the rest of the Transformers 1 Studio Series figures that are set to release. Okay, so Studio Series Bumblebee from Transformers 1 is pretty cool. I would say that it's, well, I have mixed feelings about it. Like, he is really cool, don't get me wrong, but with everything that they include, I think it would have been really nice, even if it wasn't necessarily super accurate, but if they just had a clip-on face battle mask to go with the weapons. I know that's a silly complaint to have, probably. It's very minor, but it's like even on the box art showed him with the battle mask. So it's like kind of like, I know it's not false advertising because it shows what's in the box and it doesn't have the mask in the box, but it doesn't seem like very much of an improvement from the original release that they did leading up to the movie's release, which, bringing in for comparison, slightly taller. Okay, so I like both of them, and there's things that I like and dislike about both of them. So this guy right here, his robot mode isn't as good as this guy's robot mode, but his vehicle mode, so much better. And you'll see once I get him transformed, see how evident that is. But even then, he still has some details in vehicle mode that this guy doesn't have. So it's like, they're both infuriating because neither of them are perfect, but it's like if they had some of their things merged together, I think they would be a much better figure. Anyway, yeah, I'm pretty sure I did a video of this guy, but I mean, obviously this isn't too great for robot mode, having the gap right there. And this guy doesn't have that. He has a little more details on the legs. I'm sure that's probably what it looked like in the movie. And then his face detail is so good. Like, it's, he's not smiling or anything. It's just kind of a stoic expression, not a goofy grin, which I think would have been more appropriate, but whatever. And then his weapons, he has these stingers, which can be removed if you just want the guns. It'd be nice if there's a way to do it with just the sword, so you could, or blades, so you could have his hands out with the blades, like in the movie. But whatever, it's not the end of the world. It's sort of like the way this one works, similar anyway. Which I think this one could also go on to just the arm like that as well. So this also is one thing that's better about this one, at least for robot mode, is that you can have just the blade. Now, he does come with another weapon. I don't remember him using a rifle in the movie, but maybe he did, and I just don't remember it. But it is a really cool, sleek, alien-looking rifle, so that's pretty cool. And it just seems kind of a little big for him personally, but whatever. It is what it is, but it's not the end of the world. Well, articulation. The head is on a ball joint. You can look up and down a little bit. Gets just a little bit of wibbly wobbly. And the head can do a full 360. Arms can go out that far, so not very far. Arms can do a full 360 that way. Bicep rotation. Arms can do about 90 degree bend at the elbow. Nothing at the wrist for transformation purposes. Hip rotation. Legs can go forward that far. Back that far. Thigh rotation, but it's closer. I'd say not thigh rotation. I'd say more knee rotation. About 90 degree bend at the knee. And then you have ankle tiltage. Quite a bit of it, actually. Nice, stiff. And there's a lot of pins on this guy, which is nice. And you can also do that, but that's also kind of more for transformation. But it is a little bit of extra posability if you so desire. I also think it's kind of cool that they decided to put little flip out heels for the back. I will bottom of the feet, which is kind of silly because you're not really going to be seeing the bottom of the feet really. And then it's like, well, if you're worried about that, then big old gaps. But hey, whatever. I guess it's something they decided to do, a design choice. But hey, it's not the worst thing ever. At least it's on the feet because he doesn't really have too many other major gaps to worry about. And all the wheels are pinned in, which is nice, just like this guy right there. And weapon storage, before I go any further, you can store the rifle on the back of his waist, and then you can store his guns and stingers right there on his back. And then he does look kind of weird. The only thing that really makes sense to store on his back, I mean, other than just storing his accessories if you're putting them away or something, the only thing that makes sense is the rifle, because all those weapons in the movie would be inside of his arms. They'd be internal. So, yeah, that's the only one that kind of makes sense to just have right there. And here we have Bumblebee in his vehicle mode, and it is pretty cool, although the problem is getting him to stay together, particularly getting his arms and legs to tab together properly. Not sure if there's an issue with clearance or what it is, or maybe just the instructions weren't clear on a specific step, but it's just, it barely holds together. I mean, it's still a pretty solid car mode. It's just that the part that wants to split apart the most is right there. And as you can see, not all four wheels are moving together, so there is a little bit of wibbliness to it. So I have a feeling that maybe something isn't quite lining up properly, but it just could be a ball joint that isn't quite lined up just so. There we are. I think that might help just a little bit, but it does look really good. I do like the car mode. The only main gribble or gripe I have with it, other than the splitting, but as far as just aesthetics of the alt mode, are these hinges right here. It's just glaring. Instead of being sleek all the way back, it's just big old hinges. Now, one thing that is on the vehicle mode that is in the movie is these little exhaust pipe things on the sides. Like, those are there, so it's not like they're just added something there. Now, this is also supposed to be dark, but since it's his legs, I'm sure that that part of his legs are supposed to be yellow in robot mode. That's probably why they're not gray or black for vehicle mode. And also in the pictures and stuff, this looks like it's black, at least in the posters and stuff. It's black and not gray, so that's another thing that isn't quite as accurate. And oh, and then storage. The weapons can go here, like the rifle can go on the side, and then the stingers and guns can go up here. like that. But it just looks kind of silly to me. Even the gun on the side looks kind of silly to me. But at least the gun makes sense because, like I said, no internal storage for a separate gun. Now, one thing that is different, I guess, between the vehicle modes, let's just go ahead and bring him in for comparison. Obviously, Autobot emblem doesn't really make sense because they aren't Autobots and Decepticons yet. They're just, you know, Cybertronians. So the Autobot emblem doesn't make as much sense. But he does have the black. He's sleek on the sides and here. He doesn't have the exhaust pipes, but he is sleeker on the side. This is more continuous. And even though this is still technically accurate, but since it has that port right there, it's not as... Come on. Okay, trying to focus on two things at once. It's not as sleek and smooth as on this one. And then this one obviously is sleek on the top, nice and smooth. So as far as vehicle modes are concerned, I'd say that the initial release pulls it off better. And then if you want to remove the Autobot emblem, I guess you could remove that. And it doesn't seem like that much of an upgrade from the from the original release of the Studio Series. And also another thing to point out for anyone that's a stickler for visible head syndrome, the original release does not have that, whereas this one does. I mean, I'm sure you could probably turn his head around, but you'd still see the back of his head. But they both have their pros and cons. I mean, they're both good in their own right. And then I guess also he has taillights painted on, whereas he doesn't. Yeah, but enough rambling about the differences. And I guess he does have... Yeah, so they're both very similar. Like, I honestly was thinking that this was actually comparable to a Studio Series when it first came out. And in some ways is better than the Studio Series, but in other ways not. Even though he's ever so slightly smaller, he has about the same heft as this one. So he does feel just a little bit sturdier in that regard. But anyway, enough about that. So that's about it for Transformers Studio Series Transformers 1 Bumblebee. And yeah, he's a mixed bag and not good enough for me to feel okay with parting with my original release of the character, but also at the same time good enough to where I wouldn't be too upset. But I'd say if you missed out or held off on getting the original feature release, I'd say go ahead and get the Studio Series one because he does have more accessories. The robot mode does look more accurate, and the vehicle mode is pretty decent, and I think most people are into the robot modes anyway. So if you like this review and you'd like to see more, please click that like and subscribe button to see more. Till next time, have a good one, everyone.